Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has welcomed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to Downing Street for private discussions. The pair met ahead of a vital summit in Alaska between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday to discuss ending the war in Ukraine. Keir has said he believes there is a viable chance of a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine and stressed Ukraine's territorial integrity must be protected and international borders must not be changed by force. Mr. Zelensky and other European leaders who are not attending the meeting in Alaska held a joint call with Mr. Trump on Wednesday to reiterate their position. Israel's far-right finance minister Bezalel Smotrich has said he will approve plans to build more than 3,000 homes in a controversial settlement project in the occupied West Bank, a move he said will prevent the creation of a Palestinian state. The so-called E1 project between Jerusalem and Ma'ale Adumim settlement has been frozen for decades amid fierce opposition internationally. Building there would effectively cut off the West Bank from occupied East Jerusalem and significantly obstruct its territorial contiguity. Settlements are considered illegal under international law, though Israel disputes this. The European Union is sending 2 planes to help Spain tackle raging wildfires after the country activated an EU disaster assistance mechanism for fires for the first time ever. The Interior Minister told local media he had requested 2 water bomber aircraft from the EU to be deployed to the worst affected areas. The help comes as a 3rd person has been killed battling a wildfire in the northwestern Leon region. Spain's state weather agency has warned that a heatwave will continue until Monday, with temperatures set to exceed 44 degrees in some areas. Peru's president has signed a controversial new law pardoning soldiers, police and civilian militias on trial for atrocities during the country's 2-decade armed conflict against Maoist rebels. Dina Boluarte enacted the measure that was passed by Congress in July, despite an order from the Inter-American Court of Human Rights to suspend it pending a review of its impact on victims. The law will benefit hundreds of members of the armed forces, police and self-defense committees accused of crimes committed between 1980 and 2000. It will also mandate the release of those over 70 serving sentences for such offences. Cape Verde has declared a state of emergency on the island of São Vicente and Santo Antão after deadly floods which killed at least 9 people and forced 1,500 from their homes. The state of emergency activates crisis funds and urgent infrastructure repairs in the Atlantic Ocean islands off the west coast of Africa. Monday's flash floods were triggered by Tropical Storm Erin, leading to 193 millimetres of rain in just 5 hours, far above São Vicente's annual average. Rescue teams are desperately searching for missing people, while roads, homes and vehicles have been severely damaged. Australia and Vanuatu have agreed to a 10-year deal aimed at strengthening security and economic ties worth $500 million Australian dollars. The so-called Nakamal Agreement, the result of months of negotiations, will transform Australia's relationship with its Pacific neighbour. Vanuatu's leader, Jotham Napat, described the deal as a win-win situation for both nations. The deal, to be officially signed in September, comes as Australia tries to grow its influence in the region to counter China's increased spending and power.
A very significant place in which to put our signatures to what is a very significant agreement between our 2 countries.
I hope we will all look back on this day and say this is the day on which the Vanuatu-Australia relationship was transformed.
And a Union Pacific train with approximately 35 cars has derailed close to Gordon in Texas. Video shows mangled train cars piled up on top of each other on the tracks as emergency crews attend the scene. Palo Pinto County officials confirmed the derailment happened near the Colville Road Bridge, but that no injuries had been reported. Officials said it will be an active scene for several days. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.